Hello guys, I'm Adrian, and welcome to, yes, the final weekend recap, not just of the season, but ever. In June of 2023, the weekend recap died. Thanks for watching this video and this series, and hey, we'll see you in the next video. Take care, guys, and thank you for everything. It had run its course, despite having a small, dedicated following on Rabona TV. But from the ashes rose an idea. One that I honestly have no idea how it will do, but a few of you sounded warm toward the idea. An idea named the monthly recap. Gone are the days of doing it 1 week at a time. Here comes a longer video spanning across all of the same leagues that we covered before, but looking at what happened in that month. Who's caught form? Who's fallen off? Who's been cheated by VAR this time around? Okay, enough of that. What's up, guys, and welcome to the first ever episode of the monthly recap. This is new for me, so we're going to learn on the job, and we'll make some tweaks where they need them. And of course, I'm open to any and all suggestions when it comes to segments. Do you want a Player of the Month award, Match of the Month award, power rankings that consider who had the best months of all the teams we talk about in these recaps? Let me know. Beyond that, this is a long one, so allow me to accompany you while you are cooking dinner, having a meal, mowing the lawn, whatever you are doing. And by the way, checking in on Adrian's collection of rare kits, today we're wearing Geylang International Football Club's jersey, a club from Singapore. This was sent to me by the good people at Sangalo, and I have more cool and rare kits to show you in the coming videos. But if you want to grab some rare kits from around the world, head over to sangalo.co and use the code RobonaTV for 10% off of your order on some officially licensed rare kits. You'll immediately be cooler than your friends, I reckon. They have kits from Laos, Zimbabwe. You know, where are you going to find that? Lukaku, was he going to end up at Inter again? Was he going to flirt his way into a Juve deal that hurt the Interisti? Would he stay at Chelsea? Nah, Romelu Lukaku ended up heading to AS Roma to link up with Mourinho, and I did a short video for BR Football on why I thought that this had the makings of being a good move for Big Rom. My thinking was that Mourinho understands Lukaku, as he has previously said that there is a boy inside that needs love in order for him to play well, and he's very much right about that. So right off of the bat, the manager understands Lukaku and how his mental state can make him a monster or a misfiring tornado of a striker. Then there are the supporters of AS Roma that are incredibly passionate and really get behind and back their players. Remember that Dybala unveiling? Insane. Plus, Lukaku's second best season of his career as far as goal contributions goes was with Mourinho at Man United. And so you put all of that in the pot together and there should be a decent outcome, right? So far, so good. While Roma's results have been a bit, 4-1 drubbing from Genoa, Lukaku has had a great start. He scored 3 in his first 5 matches, bettered only by Batistuta when it comes to AS Roma players. So that's good stuff from him. His former teammate, the other half of the Lalu partnership, Lautaro Martinez, is also absolutely flying to start the season. Man, the Lalu partnership 2.0, pretty underwhelming. Much preferred the Lauco partnership last season. Anyway, Inter are looking very, very good under Simone Inzaghi to start this 23-24 season, bar that 2-1 loss to Sassuolo at home. Sassuolo tend to do that now and then, don't they? Put in a great result against the top side, then shimmy back to mid-table or so. Other than that loss, however, Inter have been perfect in Serie A, 6 wins and a loss, including that 5-1 drubbing of AC Milan. They well and truly have AC Milan's number. That's got to be depressing if you're a Milanista. For his part, Lautaro has provided, he's provided all of the goals for Inter this season. He's on 9 already in Serie A, 10 across all competitions. Then there's a few fellas with 2 to their name as they try to chase him. He recently came on the pitch in the 55th minute against Salernitana and went on to score 4 goals. 4! Record setter, man. 4 goals in 27 minutes. He's running away with the top scorer nod as he has 9 to Osimhen's 5. Also a shout out to Marcus Thuram, who has looked very good for Inter. Decent stats to start, eh? While Inter may hand AC Milan a beatdown every time they meet these days, Milan has done very, very well otherwise to start off the Serie A season. As illustrated in a video we made at the beginning of the summer, it was looking a little scary at first with how Milan were doing their recruitment stuff, who they were letting go. But they really, really pulled it together, and I love what they did with that window. Cheap deals, everything for 20 million or less. Pulisic has been hitting. Musa looked good when he came on recently. Loftus-Cheek has been good. Reinders has been an excellent signing. Okafor is back from injury and scoring goals. Just great signings so far. But the best signing came last season when Rafael Leão committed himself to Milan. And I mean, he showed just how much of a game changer he can be in Milan's latest match. A 2-0 win over Lazio, setting up both Pulisic and later Okafor with a great run. We can look past that blunder he had against Newcastle United in the Champions League. As far as form goes, the Milan clubs are leading that department, 18 points, 1 loss each. But Napoli under Rudi Garcia, while they aren't as enjoyable to watch as they were under Spalletti, while I'm not a Rudi Garcia supporter, they are beginning to show some signs of improvement over the last couple of matches. They ended September well, and they're right there behind the Milan clubs. Look, they deserve to lose against Braga in the Champions League, and they won somehow. But domestically, they finished off the month with a 4-1 win over Udinese and eased to a 4-0 away win to Lecce. And Lecce started the season out really well. They were looked at as one of the sort of hipster picks for the Serie A season. You know what I mean? That team that is going to surprise everyone, is going to play beautiful football, and then ultimately fall off in a season or two. Napoli, of course, had that ridiculous own goal of a PR move with the weirdo that runs their TikTok account. Upsetting Victor Osimhen with 2 simply bizarre TikToks. One, calling him a coconut, which, whether this was the intention or not, I can't say. But that's a racist term for black people, saying that they act white or are white on the inside, but look black or brown on the outside like a coconut. That was truly the most bizarre way to anger one of your top players, someone who they haven't yet been able to convince to extend their contract. Still time to go there. His current deal is finished on June 30th, 2025, so the end of next season. But imagine if this ends up being one of the reasons why he doesn't renew with Napoli. What a blunder. I hope the TikTok engagement was worth it. Juve, they've been all right. They're another team that fell to Sassuolo, actually. Sassuolo, man. Like I was saying, they beat the big teams, and then they sort of crumble in the basement. You know the type. They're scared of the basement. But hey, Vlahovic and Chiesa are leading the attack for Juve, 4 goals apiece there across all competitions. The biggest story out of Juventus, unfortunately for them, however, was that Pogba situation. He had high levels of testosterone in his system when he was tested against Udinese. He didn't feature in that match, actually. That's unfortunately been the tale of part 2 of his Juve career. Pogba, he didn't feature in that match. It's a shame because not only does he have a temporary suspension due to the drug testing, he gets the results for his second test on October 5th, by the way, but he is once again injured, having taken a knock against Empoli. He's played 52 minutes this season. Anyway, looking at the table here in Italy, both ends of it, you can see the Milan clubs looking good at the top, and they've played each other already, so we won't see them clash in Serie A until the second half of the season. Napoli are chasing, with Juve and Atalanta just behind as well. Frosinone and Lecce in the top 10 is nice to see. Hopefully they continue to provide some fun storylines. At the bottom half, Sarri's Lazio have struggled this season as we see them in 15th with just 7 points from 7 matches. Not good. And it's been a rough return for Cagliari. I mean, they were the 5th place team in Serie B, having gained promotion through playoffs. Come on, Ranieri, can you do your thing for them again? Germany, what do we have here? We have all of your classics floating around, but at the moment, the top 2 is not Bayern Munich plus insert blank. No, sir. We have Xabi Alonso's Bayer Leverkusen, followed by who else but VfB Stuttgart. Really? What's going on here? Let's start there with Stuttgart, actually, as I think it's safe to say that they are the surprise package of the Bundesliga season thus far, which is fun to see compared to where they ended last season. They already have a great record of 5 wins and 1 loss this season after 6 matches. Last season, do you know how many matches it took them to get 5 wins? Actually, you know what? How about just to get a single win in the Bundesliga? Any guesses? Go ahead. I'll wait. If you said 10 matches, you would be correct. They went winless in their opening 9 matches last season and only got to 5 wins after 27 matches on April 9th. Insane. It looked like they would suffer again this season, but they kept Sebastian Hoeneß around, Uli Hoeneß's nephew, after he did so well to save them from April onward last season through the playoffs and everything. And so far, so good. They smashed Bochum 5-0. They got smashed 5-1 by Leipzig. Smashed Freiburg 5-0. Beat Mainz, Darmstadt. Fair to say that they have some big names to face soon, but they are certainly in a much, much better place than they were at last season at this time. September saw them win 4 out of 4 Bundesliga matches, and Sergio Guirassy leads the league with 10 goals already. Bayer Leverkusen now, as they of course lead the league and are undefeated to start things off. The one time they dropped points was against Bayern Munich in mid-September, of which they came back twice in that game to end things at 2-2 thanks to a late penalty from Ezequiel Palacios. Two of the big performers for Leverkusen this season have been Grimaldo and Boniface. The left back, Grimaldo, has shown his quality from set pieces, something he was getting better and better at season upon season at Benfica, while Boniface, who they brought in from Union Saint-Gilloise in Belgium, has slotted into this team brilliantly and has never looked a step off the pace. He scored 4 and assisted once in 4 Bundesliga appearances in September, and in total already has 8 goals and 3 assists from 8 appearances. Shout out to Jonas Hoffmann as well, as he has been an instant hit since joining from Gladbach, but I mean, we expected this. He's a Bundesliga, not great, but solid performer. The way Leverkusen play under Xabi Alonso at the moment has people thinking 2 things. 1, perhaps they will shake that Neverkusen nickname this season, as they are kind of like the Tottenham of Germany in a sense, if only when it comes to not winning silverware. And the other thing people are thinking, it's only a matter of time before Xabi Alonso heads to somewhere like Real Madrid to take over after Ancelotti leaves. Mourinho called it when he said that he has the perfect conditions to become a great coach. He's played under Mourinho, Ancelotti, Guardiola, Benitez, etc. His father was a professional player and a manager. Xabi played in the midfield, so his understanding of the game is great. And I mean, so far so good. And so far so good for Harry Kane at Bayern as well. It's fair to say that Bayern this season, however, are a bit strange. They still score a lot of goals, of which Kane now has 8, 2 behind the legend of Stuttgart, Serhou Guirassy. Kane also has 4 assists across all competitions for 13 goal contributions across 8 appearances. Not bad. However, for me, you gotta watch out for Matthijs Tel this season as well, as he's looked very, very good. The movement for some of his goals has been superb, offers something a little different to Kane. Bayern in general, however, have looked a bit... I consistently have high expectations for them because, well, Bayern coupled with Tuchel sounds like it would be a flawless victory, but it's been weird. Look, they aren't losing matches. They've won them all except for 2 2-2 draws against Leipzig and Leverkusen, but the performances haven't quite been up to snuff. Not as dominant as I thought they should be. The results are important. Ensuring you're getting results while not playing well is important, but I held them in, potential Champions League winners tier prior to the season, and they've fallen short thus far at least. Speaking of falling short, Sorry. That was a mean transition, but Borussia Dortmund have the same record as Bayern at the moment. They started the month not great after successive draws against teams they must be defeating, like Heidenheim and Bochum. They looked really, really poor against PSG, in my opinion, but they ended the month with wins over Hoffenheim and Wolfsburg. So I guess, all in all, not the worst month, right? 3 wins, 1 draw, 1 loss. Leipzig have looked pretty decent though, haven't they? They smacked Bayern 3-0 in the Super Cup in August. Don't talk about it, wrong month. Then lost to Leverkusen in their Bundesliga opener, but have been near flawless since then. Xavi Simons, man, I mean, he's looking very good for them. Unsure why he chose to go back to PSG when he had the final say in that transfer, but hey, this move to Leipzig on loan for the season has been a great one. 3 goals and 4 assists so far. It's been nice to watch him. It's not been nice to watch Union Berlin though, really bad. I fear for my Eastern boys, as they didn't win a single game in September. Not one! Leipzig slapped them in their own home. They fell to Wolfsburg, then Real Madrid, though, I mean, that was still fun to watch. Now losing to Hoffenheim and Heidenheim to close things out. Losing Heim? Bad from them. In fact, looking at the table here, they are firmly mid-table in 11th. The upper bottom half, having only defeated Darmstadt and Mainz. Teams that, as of now, are basement dwellers. At the top, as mentioned, Leverkusen are looking strong, as are Stuttgart, but still very, very tight at the beginning here, as it always is in Bundesliga. LaLiga. First of all, we have a rebrand to talk about. This ongoing plague of simplifying logos is really getting annoying. I'm less mad at LaLiga's, but it still looks like an esports team more so than the top league in Spain. But that's okay. That's just one dude's opinion, and ultimately, it doesn't matter. Real Madrid basically told the world that they don't care about having a top striker. Respect to Joselu, of course, but he's just not at that level. Nice goal against Girona. However, Joselu's goal was nice mostly thanks to Bellingham's ball in, and goals have not been an issue for Jude Bellingham, who has adjusted to the jump from Borussia Dortmund to the Bernabeu incredibly well, up near the top of Ancelotti's little Christmas tree formation. Actually, Joselu assisted Bellingham as well in that match against Girona. They were fair to each other, weren't they? Very fair to each other. In all, Bellingham has 7 goals and 2 assists from 8 appearances. Bit of a slowdown in September as things got a little more difficult for Real Madrid at times, but all in all, they are still the leaders of LaLiga, and they're doing it without quite a few important players. They sit 1 point ahead of FC Barcelona, who have looked very strong at times, but similarly ran into some issues late in September. Not as bad as Real Madrid's, of course, but that 2-2 draw against Mallorca, in which they twice had to come from behind, will frustrate supporters. But I mean, aside from that, they can't really complain. They won every other match, including having consecutive 5-0 wins over Betis, no slouches there, and Antwerp. The two Joaos have been great for them. Felix has shown form that is akin to what made me and other Benfica supporters fall in love with him when he was with us. Brilliance on the ball and far more effective around goal, both with his passing and finishing. 3 goals and 2 assists for him with some great performances along the way. Cancelo, I mean, you could say the same, as he has really terrified defenders with his 2 goals and an assist. And I mean, it's easy to understand why he's so terrifying when oh my God, what the hell is that? Why are you doing that, man? Don't just do that. Stop. Please. Anyway, if you're a Barca supporter right now, you're probably quite happy with how things are going, as both the midfield and defense look good, as well as Ter Stegen really looking like his old self again. By the way, my autocorrect always changes his name to Ted Steven. Just thought I'd put that out there in case it influences my brain in the future. Good old Ted Steven, what a keeper. Girona started the season out hot, didn't they? And hey, they looked especially hot in September. Well, until they were beaten 3-0 by Real Madrid on the last day of the month. But other than that, Michel has Girona playing some excellent football, and they swept aside most of their opponents with relative ease. Some people are getting very excited about them. Maybe I'm a pessimist, as I just think they had a hot start and will settle around 8th through 10th, but who knows? Prove me wrong. I welcome it, I really do. Speaking of proving people wrong, I think the world had written off Isco after how his Real Madrid time came to an end, then that terrible run at Sevilla for about half of a season before clashing with Monchi, a failed move to Union Berlin, etc. But now he's back in Seville with their rivals Real Betis, and Isco is back to his best. Something close to it at least, as he has immediately become Betis' best player in my opinion with the performances he has rolled out. And remember, Isco is one of those players that you have to watch in order to see their quality. He's not going to bomb you with assists and goals and other stats like that. He puts everything else together. He makes that final pass before the assist, you know? His former teammate from Real, Sergio Ramos, made his return to Sevilla, cried, and apologized to the fans for how things ended. And to be honest with you, he's kind of been the guy they need at the back, where they had been shipping goals a little bit. Maybe you can call it a coincidence, but I choose not to. Since Sergio Ramos joined Sevilla, they have lost just once, won twice, and drawn twice. Prior to that, 3 consecutive losses, including a 4-3 loss to Alaves. Mark your calendars for October 21st, when Sergio Ramos will welcome Real Madrid to the Sanchez Pizjuan. And finally, Atletico Madrid, what a time to be alive, no? If you look at the possession stats when taking in their results this season, you'll find that one match where they dominated possession. This was versus Valencia, by the way. They got clapped 3-0. When it was relatively even at 51 to 49%, they drew. When they win, they have less possession. They're back to looking like good Atleti, the Atleti that had been missing until about the midway point of last season. Granted, they dominated the ball in their 3-2 win over Cadiz, yes, but this still kind of plays into my hand somewhat, as they had to come from 2-0 down with all that possession to win that game. You see what happens when you try to dominate the ball, fellas. With Atleti, the more ball they have, more likely they're going to lose. Less ball they have, more likely they're going to win. That's just the rules. No, but honestly, Atletico are really fun to watch right now. Griezmann is still fantastic. They of course beat Real Madrid. Morata is finishing some of those chances that he previously would miraculously put wide. Saul is back to being a top player for them after a weird couple of years. And Samuel Lino, my friends, watch out for this guy. Great winger. Can't wait to see more of him at Atleti. Table time. Real have a 1-point lead over Barca, Girona, and Atleti round out the top 4, but hey man, do not sleep on Real Sociedad. Like I said in the Champions League preview, I felt like Kubo would start to deliver on all of that potential this season, and he's doing so, especially with that pulled hamstring to twerk celebration to boot. Big performances out of him, really fun to watch, as are Sociedad in general. And at the bottom, 2 of the 3 newly promoted sides are in the relegation zone, while the other, Deportivo Alaves, is not far off. First of all, thank you to the Premier League for having Liverpool versus Tottenham on Saturday and saving Forest versus Brentford as the Sunday match, aka the October match, so I get to talk about this Tottenham and Liverpool match. And yes, nowhere better to start than to simply ask how on earth anyone could have got this call wrong. Say what you will about Liverpool's Reds against Spurs. The more interesting conversation for me is how? How does this happen? How can a referee, hell, a team of referees get this wrong? My friend Russ, we were texting as this match was going on, and I remember seeing the Luis Diaz goal, seeing they were reviewing it, but then they showed this image. I saw he was onside, and I walked away to grab something while they took forever to deliberate. I come back, Spurs are still winning? What? It just doesn't make sense. And the reason why they got it wrong, which we have been told by PGMOL, the refereeing body, comes down to a communication error. Like I said, without even drawing lines, you could see that it was onside. You didn't need a ruler or magnifying glass as you sometimes do with these offside calls. The lines of the pitch made it absolutely clear. So what happened? The video assistant referee and his team thought that the on-pitch referee, Simon Hooper, had not whistled down the play for offside, when in reality, he had signaled that Diaz was offside, not that Diaz has scored. Therefore, thinking Hooper had called it a goal on the pitch, the VAR just said to him, check complete, as in the check lines up with the call that they had thought Hooper had made on the field, whereas Hooper had called offside, and the check complete that he was given said to him that it was a confirmation of what he had called on the pitch, which was offside, not a goal. It's all very confusing, but I think you're following along. How they weren't more clear with each other, I'll never know. It's really Sunday league. If he's onside, just say, he's onside, Hooper, check complete. Not just, check complete. Be precise with your language, man. Anyway, Liverpool lost that game, but as a neutral, it was a ton of fun to watch. I mean, everyone loves a little chaos. It could only end one way, right? That own goal from Matip, that's the only way that batshit insane match could have ended. And Tottenham, as a neutral, have also been a ton of fun to watch. Look, I'm an early Ange adopter, relatively speaking. I hadn't followed him prior to his time at Celtic. I started researching him far more in depth going into this season. I ended up doing a video on him this past month, and I really think for anyone who is neutral in the Prem, you should check him out. Great stuff. Spurs are one of the 2 teams that haven't lost this season in the Premier League, and they're both from North London. For their part, Spurs play some lovely attacking football with Heung-min Son as the striker through the middle. Spectacular. For me, however, I've had the most joy watching Yves Bissouma. I love a clean central midfielder with a high-techer ceiling, and that's him to a T. Did you see his assist while on international duty? Absolute violation. Liverpool, for their part, have also looked really good. There are some questions, perhaps at the back, maybe, but even there, they've looked pretty decent. And going forward, they're incredibly exciting. Szoboszlai, Darwin looking better. Jota scoring backheel goals. Salah, still incredible. Luis Diaz, incredibly dangerous. They look good going forward. I like their midfield. I just wonder if that back line needs some better cover than they currently have, but we'll see. Arsenal, of course, are undefeated as well, and they have looked quite good this season. I mean, they have really invested in Arteta, and I'll say it again, it's great to see that he has actually been given a chance, man. His project can get off the ground before it's scrapped. So many other clubs would have sacked him 2 or 3 times in those first couple of seasons or so, but Arsenal haven't, and they backed him financially to boot, and look at them now. Genuinely scary team with a lot of weapons in the attack. They also look great in the Champions League, but we don't talk about that here that much. Arsenal are undefeated thus far, only ever dropping points against Spurs and Fulham this season, as it's more of the same great stuff from Arsenal, and they drop points as draws, not losses. It also seems like more of the same crap from Havertz, but he finally scored at least from the spot after Arteta spoke to him about conquering his wife. What, dude? More crap from Man United for the most part, as they have all kinds of issues with Jadon Sancho and Ten Hag beefing in public, problems with their players having a knack of being part of investigations for domestic abuse with regard to Anthony and Greenwood, who was taken in by Getafe, problems with injuries as well, especially in defense, where suddenly Johnny Evans will be getting some more minutes. It's not been an easy start for them, and it's not going to get much easier with all those injuries. They started September with 2 Premier League losses against Arsenal and Brighton, beat Burnley, then lost to Palace recently, this after beating Palace comfortably in the League Cup. They're weird. It's very inconsistent. However, I do enjoy watching Højlund. I think they have a genuine talent there, and I'm really excited to see how he develops. Chelsea are a weird one. I predicted they would finish 4th this season, just edging out Man United, but with how well Tottenham are playing, that will be tough for them, I think. That's not to say that I don't think Chelsea will continue to get better. They will. I know that for sure. We've seen these moments under Poch, these patterns of play in the attack and how they build it out, and you can see that they look like they are genuinely about to click and start playing beautiful football. However, September was tough for them. They still couldn't score goals, a problem that has dogged them for ages, under Tuchel, under Potter, and now under Poch as well, or at least it was the case. They had their worst start in 45 years, but it really is just the finishing that is holding them back. Considering they are early in their cycle with Pochettino, for finishing to be the problem, and not so much chance creation, defense, players knowing where they need to be, etc. That's a very good sign. They've won every match on XG, but that doesn't get you points, right? They're down so bad in the attack that they nearly had to cancel the Goal of the Month award for the club. That is until they managed to beat Brighton 1-0 in the League Cup. Scary game for them though, as João Pedro was finishing as if he had rubber boots on or something. Brighton, by the way, are going through a bad time. I didn't expect this from them, but they had 3 losses in their final 4 matches of the month, one of which was the aforementioned cup match against Chelsea. But this past weekend, on the final day of September, they were smashed 6-1 by Aston Villa, as these two sides are, in this moment at least, moving in opposite directions. Emery's Aston Villa on the up. Wow. Ollie Watkins was a mean man against Brighton, while Villa in general are as erratic as Unai Emery sides typically are in the league. Half of the time they're brilliant. The other half, they look like they're playing their first match ever under this manager. Mixed bag for them this September, losses against Liverpool, Legia Warsaw in Europa, and Everton in the League Cup, but then wins against Brighton, Chelsea, and Palace. 50-50 split, the duality of man, the duality of Unai. Newcastle and West Ham are providing difficulties. You'll probably remember that Newcastle beat Brentford 8-0 and had 8 different scorers, a record, which is very cute of them, you know, spread the love. Newcastle had a horrible start to the season, including a 3-1 loss to Brighton to start September out, but after that, galvanized by getting a point at the San Siro, they have won 3 matches consecutively with 3 clean sheets. That's the old Newcastle we knew from before, from last season. And they face West Ham next, who are just ahead of them in the standings. West Ham have just 2 losses this season in the Premier League, and those came against City and Liverpool. Not bad, man. Not bad for Moyes and the boys, who look closer to the 21-22 West Ham than that spooky in all the worst ways 22-23 West Ham that narrowly avoided relegation, but also won the Conference League. Man City lead the league, but they look a bit different, don't they? Losing to Wolves is quite the result, as Hwang Hee-chan provided the match winner at Molineux. That made City mortal, their first loss, but they had lost to Newcastle the match prior in the League Cup. Something to worry about, or the machine just hits a stim pack and moves on? They have a 1-point lead over North London, with Liverpool not far off either. United just barely clinging on to the top 10, as you can see. And as you can see at the bottom, it's been tough for the newly promoted sides. Luton Town with their heads just above water, while Sheffield United and Burnley have been pretty terrible this far. I expected a lot better from Burnley, to be honest with you. Not a good cycle for the championship teams. And that is that. The inaugural monthly recap has come to an end. As mentioned, do not be shy to share what kind of segments or anything else you'd like to see during the monthly recap. Maybe we'll rotate in another league, whatever. Perhaps a player of the month from the 4 leagues we cover. Match of the month. Let me know, guys. But beyond that, thank you for watching. I'm Adrian, and we'll catch you in the next video. Be well.